Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the third lesson of the iBUG Introductory Mac Training Program. Today is Tuesday, September 21st, and I'm your instructor, Chanel Allen. We will get right to our program. Just a couple things. This week, we have probably the all of the events we offer at iBUG are good. But on Saturday, if you're at all curious about iOS 15, we are having an Apple workshop from 2 to 4 p.m. where our advanced members will be covering all aspects of iOS 15. And so definitely come to that. That is on our iBUG Today Zoom, and I've sent that info to our list. On Friday, we have iBUG Night at the Virtual Movies, as always, beginning at 7:30 with the pre-movie social. And I don't remember the name of the movie, but I do remember some clues last night that Michael gave, something about chess and queen and this movie that was made in 2016. So since I can't remember the movie, I guess you'll just have to guess what it is or come and find out. And don't forget to check our Facebook. That's iBUG Today, or our website, which is ibugtoday.org, our Facebook, facebook.com/groups/ibugtoday, and our Twitter at iBugToday. Herbie also wanted me to mention and extend to you an invitation to join him on Thursday morning for his club, Blind Mac/iOS Users on Clubhouse. It begins at 11:30 a.m. Central, and he will definitely give priority to anyone from the class who has questions. So, and then just remember too that our email list is a great place for you to ask questions, as Donna did about a week and a half ago about the file vault. And so definitely take advantage of that resource. Oh, yes. And then next week, Mac and Talk. That will be at the same time as this class, but it's from 7 to 8:30. It is on the iBUG Today Zoom, though. So this class is a special Zoom meeting ID and password, but the Mac and Talk, it's still considered part of our class, but it will be on the iBUG Today Zoom. All right. If I'm forgetting anything, Herbie can let us know. Otherwise, we will go ahead and take the first few minutes to go over a few questions from the last lesson. So, I have allowed everybody now to unmute. So, if you want to respond to questions, remember, just say your name and then I will let you answer. So, I'm not going to do all the questions on this that I assigned, or we'd be here forever. We'll just start with number 2. What are menu extras, and what is the VO command to access them? Also, how do you open the control center? Well, so first of all, we'll just go into how do you get to menu extras, and what are they?
Elvia?
Yeah, hi, Elvia.
Hi. Because I didn't get to do it all, the questions. I was having some issues with it, but for this one, I think VOMM goes to menu extras. And what was the rest of the question? You wanted to know
basically, what are they? What is in the menu extras?
It gives you app information.
Right.
And I think in there, including like your battery status and even the control center is in there. I remember that.
Yeah. Do you remember the other way that you can open the control center? And if you don't, we can.
Yes.
Okay.
It is the VO shift and the letter O.
Very good. All right. So let's see. How do you show, and this is a new question, so anybody just let me know if you have an answer. How do you show details or additional options for an item such as Bluetooth in the control center? Anybody want to answer that?
Hello, this is Iberi.
Oh, yes. Yes, I can hear you.
It's to bring up the action menu with VO command space.
Excellent. Very good. Yeah, and you'll find to use that quite a bit in the control center or even in notifications. Okay, so
Sorry, can I interrupt here?
yeah.
Who is 626 phone number?
Oh.
Hi, it's Eugene.
Oh,
Okay.
Eugene, that's right. Okay. Perfect. All right. So let's see. How do you adjust VoiceOver speech attributes using the keyboard? Anyone want to answer that?
It's Doc.
Yeah, hi, Doc.
You have a choice of doing the FN and VO, and then right or left arrow.
Close.
Oh, scratch that. Yep, it's scratch the FN key. So VO, command, and right and left arrow. And then
Yeah.
when you get
If
to
you
what you want, you can up or down.
if you just add the shift to that, then that you'll have it perfect. So yep. Because that's to adjust things like the rate, the pitch, the volume. Yep. So what are two methods, speaking of volume, of changing the system volume? Anyone want to answer that?
This is Judy.
Yeah, Judy.
So one way I think is the VO key plus the minus and the equals. Minus lowers the volume, equals raises it.
Yes, very good.
And I'm not sure about the other way.
Michelle,
Yeah, Michelle, go ahead.
is the other way with the F11 and 12?
Very good. Yes. Okay. So what is the keyboard?
Elvia,
Yeah, hi, Elvia.
hi, just real quick. Do you have to use a VO with that or no? With the F11 or F12? I forgot. Sorry.
No, you do have to use the FN key if the box is checked to use all F1, F2 keys as standard function keys. So you would, if that box is checked under keyboard, you would have to use the FN key, but otherwise you can do them by themselves, if depending on whether you check that box. So, okay.
Thank you.
Yep. What is the keyboard shortcut for commands help? Anyone want to answer that?
Donna,
Hi, Donna.
it's VOHH.
Very good. Okay, and who can tell me what two purposes of commands help? What is it good for? Why do we want to know about it and use it?
Donna.
Yeah, go ahead.
To search for a command and just to browse.
Very good. There. Awesome. Yes. Perfect. Okay. And I'm looking, it looks like all of our students are here. Hello, Cliff. Okay. And let's see, what else should I ask you? Let's see. So we're going to cover this actually in a little bit because there is one, but how do you check for software updates? We kind of touched on this last week.
Elvia,
Hello.
I want to try.
Elvia.
I want to try because I actually did my update yesterday, but I had a little bit of a challenge, but I think I did it right. What I did was I went to the dock first by pressing the VOD. And then I typed in SY for systems preferences. And then I'm probably doing this a long way. I have no idea. But then I did the VO command space. Was it that one? Oh gosh. Okay, I forgot.
That or VO Shift M.
Oh, there you go. That's the one I meant.
Yep.
The VO Shift M. And then when I went in there, I do the first letter navigation for software. And then I went and I pressed enter. and then I VO'd right arrow
Yep.
to where it said whatever the new one was coming out of, and I just kept VO right arrow till it said update.
Excellent.
Software update. I think that's how I did it too, but I can't remember all the steps. But I did it, so I must have done it right.
Awesome. Yay. All right. And I will actually review that today because there is an update and that sounds right. And sorry, Anna, you were speaking at the same time. Maybe you can answer this question or you can answer another one. I do apologize. But okay, so we were
This is
just
Cliff.
go ahead.
I just wanted to point out, because Herbie will correct me later if I don't say it. When you're doing single letter navigation, it's not like Windows where you can just push the first letter. You actually have to push the first 2 or 3 letters, because if there's something that has the same letter, it's just going to go to that if it goes at all. So
Yeah.
like, for instance, there's screen time. If you just push S, it's going to go to that first. But if you do SO, then it'll go to software update. I just
Yep.
wanted to point that out for anybody who may listen to this later.
Very good. All right. So in system preferences, what category do you need to access to change the behavior of function keys? So what thing did we go to in system preferences? Anna or anyone want to answer that one?
Michelle,
Yeah, go ahead, Michelle.
you just told me that a while ago. I think is it keyboard,
Yep, very good.
and then you navigate till you get to it. There's a checkbox to check for FN.
Yep, very good. So how do you, let's see. How do you access notifications? So in class last week, somebody asked about getting to the calendar alerts. So how did we do that?
So you, this is Anna, and
Yeah, go ahead.
you, usually I do hit my actions menu, and then I
Okay.
with VoiceOver Command and space, like on the notification itself, and then.
Right. Do you remember how you get to the notification though? Because that's what you do when you're on it. That's great.
VoiceOver N or O, I think.
It's O. Very good. Awesome. All right. So I think that's enough for pestering you with questions. No, hopefully that wasn't too much of a bother.
Now,
Yes.
Elvia, real quick. I'm
Sure.
confused about the notifications center. Isn't the VO Shift O the control center? And why would it still be the same for the notification? I'm confused.
Yeah, so VO Shift O is for control center, but VO and the letter O is for notification. So it's by
without the
VOO
shift.
versus V. Yeah, it's kind of confusing. And that's where commands help could be really useful, because sometimes I get confused between the two. So I'll go look it up, or I might do keyboard help and press VOOO and then realize, oh, that's for the other one. So even sometimes I get confused. And that's why I'm teaching you the VoiceOver help, the different ways of getting help. So that way things will hopefully be a little bit less confusing. Okay, so I am going to start to share my audio. And we are going to talk about...
you have stopped share.
Okay,
Button.
We're not going to talk about we're actually going to talk about the VoiceOver utility and hopefully clear up the discombobulated tour that I gave last week. Then we will go into system preferences and turn on Siri and dictation. So there are a number of ways to get to the VoiceOver utility. I think last week we did VOF8. You can also ask Siri once you have that enabled. Or you could also go into the Spotlight with Command Space.
Stop share button. Spotlight.
That is a way of basically
Spotlight.
typing. You can type in any file,
Blank.
app. You can even type in a calculation. Sometimes I'm on my abacus and I'm doing practice problems. And so I'll go to Spotlight and type in the numbers, and see if my answers come out right. Anyway, so I can just begin by typing in the first few letters, VO.
VoiceOver Utility App, sell 2 items.
And I've gone there recently, so it probably remembers. And so if I just press enter, and Herbie, please unmute if for some reason you do not hear my audio.
Zoom us. System dialog.
Okay,
Or
otherwise,
VoiceOver Utility.
I
VoiceOver
think we
Utility.
are
Window.
good.
Utility categories. Table. General. Selected has keyboard focus. You are currently on a table. To enter this table, press Control, Option, Shift, down arrow.
Okay, calling this a table is a bit of a misnomer because there's really only one thing on each line, and you don't need to interact. If interacting makes you feel better, if you want the consistency, by all means, go ahead. There's no harm in it. But what I like to do is, so I know I'm in general, then all I need to do is VO right to look at the things in general. And in general, we have 2 important options and 1 semi-important, in my opinion at least. So if I continue on with VO right.
Speak the following greeting after login. Welcome to macOS. VoiceOver is on. Content selected. Greeting. Edit tab.
Okay, some people try to put in a quote there. I've tried to make it to delete the stuff, but VoiceOver is just going to say what it's going to say.
Display welcome dialog when VoiceOver starts. Unchecked.
Display welcome dialog when VoiceOver starts. That's the welcome to VoiceOver. If you already know how to use VoiceOver, press the V key now. And so you don't really need to have that displayed. So that box actually is unchecked by default.
Keys to use as the VoiceOver modifier.
All right, here is the first important option, keys to use as the VoiceOver modifier. When I mean important, I mean notable, kind of worth talking about. It may or may not be that you actually change it. But anyway.
Control Option or caps lock. Keys to use as the VoiceOver modifier. Pop-up.
As I said in the first lesson, Control Option or caps lock, that is the default. So you can use either or. Oh, I didn't let this thing say Popup Button, but I'll stop on one of those so you can actually hear it say Popup Button. Basically, to choose a different option, we can press space or VO space. It doesn't really matter.
Menu 3 items. Check Control Option, Control plus Option.
And it made a little
You
sound.
are currently on caps lock, caps lock. Check mark. Control Option or caps lock, Control plus Option or caps lock.
Okay.
You are currently on a menu item.
Yeah, it keeps wanting to tell us we're on a menu item. That's why I'm eager to turn the hints off. So just be aware of that if for some reason you want to change your VO modifier.
Portable preferences off. Image.
Okay,
you are currently on an
portable
image.
preferences. We'll let it hear. I'll let you hear the explanation it gives about
portable preferences off. You are set up button. Portable preferences let you take your VoiceOver preferences with you wherever you go. You are currently on a text element.
Okay, so basically, if you decide you want to use, if you don't want to take your Mac with you somewhere, but you know there's going to be a Mac and you want VoiceOver to work the way you want it to work, maybe you adjust the speech rate and you have a bunch of specific keyboard or trackpad assignments, you can save those preferences to an external drive, like a thumb drive, and then have them available. You would load them. And sometimes the VoiceOver utility will actually open up a dialog on its own and say, you know, we see you have these preferences here. Do you want to use them? And so you can use your VoiceOver preferences. I've never really found a need for the portable preferences until I actually was practicing this morning and realized rather than creating a separate account on my Mac, as I did, I could just use the preferences, set things to their basics, and then the VoiceOver would be set as if as if I was using it for the first time. Or I could customize a bunch of preferences and then, you know, load that up on a new account, whatever. If you want to be able to have your VoiceOver preferences to take with you to another Mac or another account on your Mac, whatever the case may be, these might be useful. Otherwise, you don't need to worry about it. You can also back up your VoiceOver preferences. Those don't get backed up by default in iCloud, but if you want to save them, you can do an export, and that's just kind of a one-time thing. If you use portable preferences, then if you make changes, those changes are saved to your external drive as long as it's plugged in. importing or exporting them is just kind of a what's saved is saved in that one instance. Okay, I'll move on.
Allow VoiceOver to be controlled with Apple Script unchecked. Checkbox.
Okay, this is probably the thing that you may want to have checked. Now, I unchecked it just to show you what would happen, but basically, there are certain things you can do with VoiceOver using what's called the keyboard commander. And some of those, like hearing the time, use what's called an Apple script. And that Apple script has to get a piece of information, it has to get the time, but then in that script it says tell VoiceOver. Well, your Mac needs permission to tell VoiceOver, basically. That's why you would check this box. I used to think it had something to do with interaction and navigation. No, it's all about this thing called Apple Script, which is a bit more advanced. But basically, if you want to be able to use right option T to hear your system time or right option U to hear the number of unread messages, provided that your keyboard commander is on, you will need to have this box checked. And I will do that now.
Application. System dialog. VoiceOver utility is trying to modify your system settings.
And I just
Touch
received
ID or enter
a
your password to
notification
allow
on my
this.
watch.
Touch ID.
So
Image has
I can
keyboard
do
focus.
that. I can press the little side button. I think that's what it's called twice.
Sim checked. Allow VoiceOver
And
to
that
be
that's
controlled
the
with
advantage of having a watch. I could have also put in my
VoiceOver
fingerprint.
utility.
But there we go. We turned it on.
Palatable preferences. Allow VoiceOver to be controlled with Apple Script checked. Checkbox.
And your Mac is the Mac is security conscious. It will ask you for, it's not always in your face, but you will from time to time get asked for permission to allow apps to do such and such. So that's one of those things. All right, now I will VO right.
Help button. Help button.
And we're at the end. So if you don't, last week I talked to you about using VO Home. That is to jump to the beginning. And if you don't want to do that though, you can just press tab a few times. If anything, if you don't change anything or you decide VoiceOver utility, system preferences, you don't really want to do anything there, at the very least you can learn some alternate ways of navigating with VoiceOver. There's VO in the arrows, there's the arrow keys, and there's using tab, and learn, when those are appropriate. So I'm going to press tab.
Entering toolbar. Search text field.
And
Blank.
we are in the toolbar. I'm going to press tab again.
Leaving toolbar. Entering utility categories table. Utility categories
and we are
table.
in the utility
General.
categories. And now so pressing tab does interact, by the way.
Verbosity.
Now we're in verbosity. So
Speech selected tab 1 of 5.
Well, okay. Anyway, we have 5 different categories here. Actually, the one at the end, the hints, is probably the most important, but we'll go in order. Speech, there's really nothing here that's important to adjust. I'm just going to VO right.
Braille tap text announcement hints default speech verbosity. Hi. Default speech verbosity pop-up button.
Default speech verbosity. As you get more familiar with your Mac, you may want to set it to medium or just leave it entirely alone. Herbie has his set at low. And what happens is VoiceOver will not say whether he's on a link or a checkbox or a heading. So it gives you kind of minimal information about the item with focus.
Additional speech verbosity options.
You can
collapse.
customize the additional speech verbosity options, but again, that's more for indicating whether VoiceOver says like button okay versus okay button. Basically the order, whether certain information is spoken, all that stuff that we don't really need
defaults
to mess
hints
with.
tab
So I'm going to
announcement
go
text
back.
Braille speech select Braille tab
Braille provides the same things as speech.
text tab 3 of 5.
And here
You
we
are
have
currently
text, and I will VO space on text.
selected text tab 3 of 5.
And then, so we're going to go through text and announcements. And then there is something called the VoiceOver Verbosity Rotor, which incorporates the best of both of those categories. But there are some things you'll only find in verbosity. Or in the text and announcements categories that you won't find using the VoiceOver Verbosity Rotor. And that'll become more important as you do things like edit documents in text editor pages or whatever.
Announcement, hints, punctuation, some, punctuation, pop-up button.
Okay, punctuation. The Mac used to have some, most, all, or none. Now it only has some, all, or some, all, or none.
Menu
So
none.
you can
You are
choose one of these
modified.
categories here.
Customize ellipsis.
I have this all modified category that I've attempted to delete in iCloud and various places. It appears on both my phone and my Mac.
All.
This is one of those things that for some reason does back up.
Check.
But you can basically create your own punctuation group
Some
if you want.
Punctuation.
I wouldn't worry about that. You could basically, if you want it to pronounce exclamation mark as bang, I guess the exclamation mark is also known as a bang. Well, you could set it to do that. But anyway.
Repeated punctuation. First 3 times. Repeated punctuation. Pop-up button.
So if VoiceOver, if you encounter a line of asterisks or, I can't say it right, asterisks or underlines, VoiceOver would just speak the first 3.
Menu 6 items check mark. First 3 times.
Your other options.
First 4 times. First 5 times.
You can basically customize the number
Closing.
of that. That's not too important.
While typing, speak.
Okay, here's something.
You are currently on.
While typing, speak.
Characters and words. While typing, speak. Pop-up button.
All right, I prefer to set mine just to words.
Menu
and so
4
I'll
items
do that.
check mark. Characters and words.
I basically
are currently
press
on a
the
menu.
space bar to activate the menu. It makes its little sound, and I'm going to down arrow.
Nothing. Characters. Words.
To words.
Choose the amount of feedback for typing. You are currently on a pop-up button.
And I'll VO
to display
right.
moving the cursor.
Okay, here's
are currently
probably one of 2 options that you may want to come into this specific category to change. Hopefully not, but when moving the cursor.
Speak text the cursor passes. When moving the cursor, pop-up button.
Speak text the cursor passes. If you're familiar with editing text in iOS, you know that VoiceOver speaks text that the cursor passes in either direction. So if you are, and you can notice that if if you're pressing right arrow, you're in the word that, for instance, you get to the A, and you press right arrow, it will tell you A, and you know that you're to the right of A. If you press left arrow again, it would be to the left of A. And on Windows, it's different. You'll understand more when we get into text
Menu 2
edit,
items
but
check mark. Speak text to the
other
right of the
option
cursor.
is speak text to the right of the cursor.
Closing
And
menu.
so you can choose that, but I just recommend leaving it as it is.
When text attributes change, do nothing. When text
Text attributes are things like the font, spacing, other formatting.
when encountering a misspelled word, speak attributes.
Okay, the misspelled words, you may want it to only play a tone.
Menu 4
or
items check mark. Speak attribute check mark.
Oops.
Change pitch.
change pitch.
Do nothing. Play tone.
Or do nothing. So
Closing
it can
menu.
indicate to you, mine it'll say misspelled before the word, but you may want to change that.
When encountering a link/attachment, speak. When encountering a link/attachment, pop-up button.
I
Choose
find
how
it
to
easier sometimes
Menu
just to
for-
have it play a sound for link. That way, you don't always have to hear
Change
link
pitch.
this,
Play tone.
link whatever.
You
so
are currently
I
on a
might
menu
change
item.
it to tone.
To choose this menu
All
item,
right.
press Control.
And
Read numbers as words.
your choices
numbers
here
as-
only words or
Menu 2 digits.
digits.
Check mark words.
So you don't have
Closing
as much
menu.
customization
When reading
there.
a capital letter, speak cap. When reading a cap.
You can also have it change the pitch. As with your phone, it does raise the pitch. I don't like VoiceOver speaking in a raised pitch, so I prefer it to say speak
When
cap.
deleting text, change pitch. When deleting text, pop up.
Deleting, it uses a lower
Append-
pitch.
Append phonetic pronunciation to single characters unchecked. Check.
Okay, append pronunciation, phonetic pronunciation to single characters. That, if you're reading, it might say A alpha, and it says the letter and the word immediately one after the other. And Windows screen readers, it might pause for a few seconds. So I leave that off.
Help button. You are
Anyway,
currently on a
that we are done with text. Now we'll go
toolbar.
into
Voice
announcements.
speech. Braille text announcements tab. 4 of
And I just did VO home, and then I used my VO right to get here. So now we'll do
selected announcements tab. 4.
Okay, there's
Word
really
5.
only one thing in announcements that caught my attention. So
Hints to announce when mouse cursor enters a window. Unchecked. Checkbox.
announce when mouse cursor enters a window. That's more appropriate. Some people do actually use the mouse visually in conjunction with VoiceOver. Maybe they use zoom or magnification. So that's not really applicable to VoiceOver users if you're using VoiceOver by itself.
Announce when a modifier key is pressed. Unchecked.
If you're having trouble finding keys on your keyboard, or knowing, sometimes people incorrectly identify or say the command key when they mean option or whatever, hearing that confirmation of what the keys are, command, option, control, and shift, could be useful without actually having to go into keyboard help.
Announce when the caps lock key is pressed. Checked. Checkbox.
Announce when the caps lock key is pressed. So you have to, if you're using caps lock as your VO modifier, then you have to press caps lock twice to actually turn on caps lock.
Speak header when navigating across a table row. Checked. Checkbox.
Speak header when navigating across a table row. If you have a table, maybe that has across the top a date, time, location, whatever, as you move from column to column, and let's say you're on row 3 or 4, whatever, the title of that first column or header column will be spoken if this option is checked.
Automatically speak text in dialog boxes. Checked. Checkbox.
All right, that's pretty
You are currently on a check.
self-explanatory.
Speak zoom magnification changes. Uncheck. Speak voice over cursor magnification changes. When status text changes. Play tone. When status text changes under voice over cursor. Pop-up button. When progress indicator changes under voice over cursor. Play tone. When progress indicator changes under VoiceOver.
So rather than reading a percent or whatever, but you can still actually see the percentage sometimes. So
when number of rows change under VoiceOver cursor, do nothing. When number of rows change.
Sometimes VoiceOver will say row added, or whatever when there have actually not been any rows added to a table. So you can leave that.
When
at do
system
nothing.
dialogs are displayed.
Okay. When system dialogs are displayed, I don't ever remember encountering this option. And then a few weeks ago, I was doing some sort of demo on Herbie's computer, and I kept hearing this sound. And I wasn't even thinking about you can use VO F1 twice to bring up a list of all running apps, including system dialogs. And I didn't even think about doing that. But anyway,
play tone.
Mine is set to play a tone. So if you remember the sound help that we talked about last week, if I do VOH.
VoiceOver help menu 5
and
items.
then press SO.
1 item, sound help menu.
And I right
sound
arrow.
help menu 75 items.
And then I'm going to type in SY.
5 items. System dialog appeared.
So that is that mysterious sound that I kept hearing as I was recording the demo on Herbie's computer.
System dialog reminder.
And that's the reminder. So again,
play tone.
For some of these things, you can kind of hear the tone that will be played. You
menu
could also
3 items check mark play tone.
Set it to
speak and play tone.
Speak and
you
play
are currently
tone,
on a menu item to choose
what I might want. So I'll press enter.
Closing menu. Speak and play tone.
Okay. And then if I VO right.
Speak size and position in inches. Speak size and position in pop-up button.
Okay, and all of these things that we've been going into, or I've been pressing space or VO space, are pop-up buttons. Basically, they're a menu where you can select different choices, kind of like if you're familiar with the term combo box. Well, actually, that is a little bit different on the Mac, but pop-up button is just another kind of word for a menu button. So anyway. Now I will VO right.
Speak text under mouse after delay. Unchecked 0 seconds. Speak short, long, help button.
Okay, now we're at the end of announcements. So let's go to probably what I think is the most important category. And rather than VO arrowing or VO home and whatever, why don't we find it quickly? I may have shown you VO find, and we will do that again when we go into Safari. But another option is the item chooser. I know some of you like to use the item chooser on your iPhones, and you can do that on the Mac with VOI.
Item chooser menu 48 items.
And so if I begin typing in the word hint, H-I.
24 2 items hints tab 5 of 5.
Okay, and that's what we want. So first I need to press enter to get to hints.
Hints tab 5 of 5.
And then I need to press
you are currently on a tab
space to actually, or space, whatever.
Selected hints tab.
activate that tab so it's selected, and now we can proceed and look at the options here. So that's just another way of getting to something, especially if you know its name and you don't feel like, pressing arrow keys, VO and arrows a bunch of times. It's just another navigation option.
Speak instructions for using the item in the VoiceOver cursor. Checked. Check.
Speak instructions for using item in the VoiceOver cursor. I recommend turning this off, and I've tried to give you several reasons why you might want to. One, you just, I would just try turning it off.
Unchecked. Speak.
And seeing what happens. If you don't like it off, if you feel like you're kind of wondering what to do, then turn it back on. You will find some of the things that I tell you in Finder a bit confusing if you have that on. VoiceOver will tell you to interact. You don't need to hear also when you're in the dock or menu bar to activate this item or to go through the menu, press da 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 da. So I recommend having that off. It's your choice, but I recommend having that off.
When an item has a help tag. Speak help. When an item has a help tag, pop-up button. Choose how to announce an item's help tag.
Okay, choose how to announce an item's help tag is an example of a help tag. And those can be useful because they can provide a little bit of an explanation of what an item does. And so you may want that spoken. Again, your other
Menu
options.
3 items check mark. Speak help. Do nothing.
Do nothing.
Speak notification.
Or speak notification. So you could just be notified that it has a help tag, and then you would do
Close
VO
menu.
Shift H to read the help tag, VO Shift N to read the VoiceOver hint. So if you really get stuck and you need some tips on the VoiceOver navigation, you can use VO Shift N. And again, it might be hard to remember that, so you could just go to Commands Help and look for the word hint, and you'd be set. So
When an item has custom actions. Speak help. When an item has custom actions, pop-up button.
okay, that's, for things like in the menu extras or control center, I think, where you would do the VO command space, just that would basically let you know that you can do
Menu
that.
3 items check mark. Speak help. Play sound. Do nothing.
I might set mine to do nothing because I kind of get tired of hearing custom actions available, but that is entirely your choice.
Closing menu. Do nothing. Speak hints after delay.
If you choose to leave the speak instructions for using the item in the VoiceOver cursor, if you leave that on,
0
you
seconds.
could set the delay that VoiceOver uses before speaking the hint, and that's okay. But if you do take a little while to find the keys on the keyboard, that might be a bit more confusing.
Short, long, help button.
All right, we are finally done with
Toolbar.
verbosity. So I am going to, VO home seems to be just my default, what I naturally press, and then I can VO
VoiceOver
right
utility.
and down arrow.
Verbosity speech.
Okay, now we are at speech. So the main thing here in speech is adding or deleting voices.
Voices selected tab.
The
1 of
first
2.
item is voices.
Pronunciation tab. 2 of 2.
Or pronunciation. Pronunciation, you can actually attempt to change how the VoiceOver says certain words, like Sandhya. And I have had fun with that one, trying to, I had it more customized before. But anyway, we'll stick with speech.
Mute speech unchecked. Checkbox.
You could mute the speech here.
Customized language list table. No selection.
Okay, here is a table where we do actually need to interact. How would you know that? Well, you would just need to try interacting or try not interacting. I know that sounds kind of okay. And you are unmuted, Herbie, just so you know. Were you going to tell me anything? Okay.
No, I dropped the keyboard, that's all.
All right. Well, anyway, so if I just down arrow, VoiceOver doesn't say anything, so I know I need to interact. And there are actually some things
In
contained
customized language
in this
list
table.
no selection. Language default. Column 1, row 1.
It has more than one column. So
English. Voice. Ava voice pop-up button.
and
Column
what I
2.
did is I pressed VO right to get to voice. And now I will press
Language,
if you heard it
English,
say
voice, Ava voice pop-up button.
voice pop-up button. So again, we can press space. No, okay. VO
Menu
space, we'll do
39
that.
items check
Sometimes
mark.
if you're in more of a, well, anyway, if one doesn't work, try the other. So
Ava compact.
we see all
Bruce,
the different
Fred,
voices here that I
Kathy,
have.
Nikki.
But rather than arrow through this menu, I'm just going to type CU.
Customize ellipsis.
I don't think you'll have all those voices on your Mac. I don't know how all of them decided that, to be on mine, that it was important to have the weird ones.
In search dialog, search text field, blank.
Okay.
Select voices table, no selection.
So we need to go into this other table with the voices.
In voices table, no selection. English United States. Row 1 of 262.
Okay, it's showing me voices.
Out of play, dimmed, voices
so
table.
we could just try
search,
to
select voices. Select voices
choose
table.
the voices only for English.
In voices.
But we'll just go through this table.
Alex
and
will be downloaded. Checkbox. Action menu button.
all right, if I want to uncheck a voice, which I don't really care for Alex, so I would uncheck. And you can do that with VO space.
Dimmed unchecked. Alex compact. Checkbox.
Again, I would uncheck.
Allison. Checkbox.
All right, let's say you wanted to hear a sample of the voice. So then you would uninteract with the table, VO shift
Out of
up
voices
arrow.
play button.
Play, VO space.
Hello,
Stop.
my name is Allison. I am an American English voice.
And then to go back to the table, you just
Voices
VO
table.
left,
In voices.
interact, and then down
Allison
arrow.
compact. Checkbox.
So I don't like the compact
Ava
voices.
Allison compact. Checkbox.
And I'll press VO
Unchecked.
space.
Ava. Check. Ava compact. Check. Unchecked. Bruce. Checkbox.
So we could just keep, I'm able to just down arrow here, and you could just
Unchecked.
uncheck all the voices you don't want. And we could be at this forever. So let's say I'm done. I'm going to
Out of
uninteract
voices
with the
table.
table.
Play button. Cancel. OK. Default
And
button.
this is one of the few places that actually has an OK button. So I'll press VO space.
In alert. Dialog. Keep button. Delete the downloaded voices you just disabled.
No, yeah, let's delete them.
Cancel button.
So I'm pressing VO right.
Cancel but keep button.
So sometimes with VoiceOver, it may not take you to the first item in the dialogue. And in that case, it didn't. So I'll VO
Delete
left.
default button.
Press VO space.
Application.
And
System dialog.
And it's giving
Speech
me a
downloader
prompt
is trying to modify
on my
your system
watch again.
settings. Touch VoiceOver utility.
And there
VoiceOver
we go.
utility window.
All right.
Add language
the other thing
button.
you can
Customize.
do in the VoiceOver utility is change the pitch, change the rate, and that sort of thing. We are kind of running short on time, so I won't go into all of that. But basically, you would interact, and then you would go to the edit button, and then you could make those changes.
Mute
So
speech pronunciation voices. Select
let me just do VO
toolbar.
home, VO
VoiceOver
right,
utility categories table. Speech. Select
and I'll down
navigation.
arrow. Okay, navigation. I will show you, if we have time, I will get to some things, maybe in Safari, because there are a few things you can check to make sure the VoiceOver and keyboard focus are synchronized. There may be certain situations where you want, anyway, maybe we'll cover that later. But
Web.
all right, web we will definitely cover later.
Sound.
Sound. Okay, there are a couple of important things here. So if I VO right,
Mute sound effects unchecked. Checkbox.
you could just have the VoiceOver sound effects muted if you don't like them.
Enable audio ducking unchecked. Checkbox.
Okay, this is probably the first thing. It is checked by default. This is one of the first thing I uncheck because I can't stand the audio ducking. Basically, it will duck the VoiceOver sounds. It's supposed to just lower the sounds of everything while VoiceOver is speaking. But in that process, then sometimes VoiceOver is speaking quieter and then louder. So I prefer to have the audio ducking off.
Enable positional audio checked. Checkbox.
Okay. Positional audio, basically, if you're wearing a headset that supports stereo, you can hear where things are on screen. So if I go to the very top, and the command for top of window is VO command home or VO command FN left arrow. You wouldn't really use this too much, but
Close button.
All right, so I'm on the close button. If I do a VO left, and so it'll cause VoiceOver to read it again, but it will also make a sound.
Close button. Close button.
That's
Close button.
way off on my left. And as I move right,
Minimize button. Zoom dimmed. Toolbar. VoiceOver utility. Utility categories.
the
table.
sound of these, as I focus on different items, it moves right because that close button is in the very top left-hand corner. And you can't really hear where, if something else is on the second row or further down the screen, but you can hear left
Mute
to
sound.
right.
Enable audio. Mute. Enable audio. Enable position. Output device. System default. Output device.
Okay, output device. In order to share the audio in Zoom, in order for you to hear my voiceover, it needs to be set to system default. But let's say I'm playing music on my Mac speakers and I don't want that I don't want voiceover to come out of my Mac speakers. I could set the sound to my headset. Again, I can press
Menu
spacebar
for
to
items.
access
Check
this
mark.
menu.
System default. Built-in output. Sennheiser SC60 for link. Zoom audio device.
Or you don't want to set it to the Zoom audio device or your speech will go silent. But Zoom uses an audio device for whatever reason.
Sennheiser S.
So you could
Close
set
it.
it to your headset. And so then, people
System
would
default.
just hear your music on your Mac speakers or whatever.
Help button.
All
Help
right,
button.
and that's the end of sound.
Toolbar. VoiceOver
we'll go
utility
right.
category. Visuals.
Okay, visuals, I wouldn't worry about. They're more to help if you have a sighted instructor working with you as you're learning voiceover. And there's some other things there.
Commanders.
Okay, commanders. This is where you would come if you want to create your
Utility
own
categories
commands.
table. Commanders. Selected.
Excuse
General.
me, my finger slipped. Okay.
Braille. Commanders. Braille. Commanders.
Okay. Oops.
Out of
let's see.
utility
There we go.
category. Trackpad. Selected. Tab. 1 of
Okay,
4.
you have trackpad
Numpad. Tab. Keyboard. Tab. 3 of
or my favorite, keyboard. So we could press space to
selected.
select
Keyboard.
that.
Quick nav. Tab. 4. Enable keyboard commander. Checked. Checkbox.
If you forget how to turn on the keyboard commander, which is VO Shift K, you can come into the VoiceOver utility and turn it on, or the trackpad commander, whatever the case may be.
Use. Right option key. Use pop-up button.
I prefer to set mine to both option keys. VoiceOver or the Mac will give me a little gripe about that, but I haven't found it to make a difference. So
Keyboard commander. Table. No selection.
And then we're in a table, and in this table, we can actually down arrow.
M. Open application. Mail. Menu button. S.
And hear what the commands are. If we want to add a command, then we
Add
would go
button.
to add, and in that point, we would need to interact in the table so we could get to each cell, one to specify the keyboard command and one to specify, go into the menu to choose what that letter or number does. For instance, I have on my number row, the numbers 1 through 4 controlling the voiceover rate and volume, or the right option key V. Well, actually, any option key can go to my voiceover utility. So
Keyboard.
I'm pretty prejudiced toward
S.
keyboard commander.
Command.
You can do a lot of the same things with
Right
trackpad
option key.
commander as well, or
Use.
numpad commander.
Enable key quick nav keyboard. Numpad. Trackpad. Utility categories. Table. Commanders.
And I did VO left a
Selected.
few times. We're back at the categories.
Braille.
Okay, Braille. So I don't know if I mentioned this, but you can essentially put a Braille display, any display of your choosing, in terminal mode, provided it is supported by Apple, and lots of them are. Then you just plug it in via USB and you're good to go. Or you can add it in the Braille displays. You would find the add button. In displays,
Translation.
you have
Layout. Status. Displays. Tab.
a displays tab where you would go to add it, and then you have a number of ways you can customize either the commands or what grade it uses or what it shows in the status cells,
Stated
things
layout.
like that.
Translate. Utility category. Activities.
Okay, activities. You may be familiar with that in iOS. I think it was introduced in iOS 13. I find activities to be a bit sluggish on the Mac if you have them set on a per app basis. You may, for example, in text edit, want the rate to be slower, all punctuation to be spoken, and attributes on. Well, You could set that activity up for text edit, but if you're using more of these vocalizer voices, the app is a bit sluggish when it opens. So I recommend if you're going to set up activities, rather than setting them up to activate in a certain app, you could just create some activities. And there's a command you can use, VOX, and that will bring up the list of activities you have. But anyway,
VoiceOver utility category, VoiceOver recognition.
and then you have VoiceOver recognition. Basically, that's like the screen recognition, or it's more like actually my image descriptions on our iOS devices. And basically, if you VO right, there's a box to check which allows it. I find the image description feature on our iPhones more helpful. Supposedly, in the latest Monterey, they'll be adding more for the image descriptions on the Mac, but you have to have one of the later Macs to take advantage of it. All right, I'm now going to switch gears so we can go into system preferences to enable Siri and dictation. I'll do Command Q to quit the VoiceOver utility.
Zoom us, system dialog.
And let's go into system preferences.
sharing.
But I'm going to show you a different
Stop
way
share.
to navigate in system preferences. So we'll do VOD,
Dock. System
SY,
preferences, one
and rather than doing, oh, I should have let you hear.
audio, system preferences, one new item, 3 of 20.
One new item. So let's check for that software update. If I press enter,
Zoom us, system preferences, window, toolbar.
and we are on a toolbar. So there's a couple of things you could do. You could press tab.
Leaving toolbar, Apple ID button.
All right.
Family sharing button. Entering preference pane scroll area. General button.
For whatever reason, Apple ID and family sharing are not part of the preferences pane. Here in the preferences pane, once it actually says preference pane, I can use still my first letter navigation. So we have sound, which is SOU, but software update, SOF. So we'll actually have to press that first,
Screen
SOF,
software update button.
and then press VO space.
Loading software update, window, toolbar.
And we can move right past the toolbar with VO right.
Software update, image. An update is available for your Mac.
An update is available. How about that?
Update now button.
And as Elvia said, we go to the Update Now button, VO
Text.
space.
Bullets of in dialog, cancel button. Safari must be closed before the software can be installed.
I didn't realize Safari was open. Oops. So we can use Command Tab
Zoom us.
to get
Finder.
to Safari.
Safari.
And Command Q to quit
System
that.
preferences.
And now,
Close application and install button.
all right, I guess it could have closed it for us. So if we do VO space.
Text. Bullet Safari 15.0.
All right, this reminds me, for those of you using Catalina, and I think at least Doc and Michelle are, you have an update to Safari as well. So you may not be getting, an update from Catalina to Big Sur, but you still do have the other security updates and Safari updates, whatever, that are released from time to time. So if I VO right.
Software update, image. Your Mac is up to date. Mac last checked. Software update. Automatically keep my
I guess it already installed the update. So
toolbar.
some of them are pretty simple. Otherwise, you would have had to go to the update now, and there's a progress indicator and whatever. But that one was very simple. It probably already installed, because what happened yesterday is I went into system preferences and the first thing that opened was the software update. Okay, now I'm going to use that keyboard command shortcut that Cliff told us about, which is Command L, that essentially shows all or brings us back to the preference panes.
Software update. Your Mac is
okay.
Last check.
Was it Command Option L or Command Shift L? Well, let's try Command left bracket. Okay, this is one instance that Herbie was talking about where system preferences is tricky. If we were closing system preferences, we could do VO Command Home.
Close button.
And jump directly to that close button. But what we need to do
Minimize
is
zoom toolbar.
Go to the toolbar. And see, I just tried to do a Command L, and we need to interact with
Back
the toolbar.
Button. Forward, show all, menu button.
And we can do show all. And it is a menu button. If we were to down arrow on that show all rather than VO space, we'd see the same things
Out of
that
tool.
you probably encountered in the dock when you did VO Shift M. Okay, so we're at the toolbar. My favorite way to actually get into the system preference panes is VOJ. So once I'm at the toolbar, and VOJ is used to jump from different areas of the screen. So you can jump from a toolbar to the main part of the app. So the toolbar is kind of at the top, and maybe the first thing in the app is, maybe more in the middle or whatever. You jump from one section to another section. In Safari, you'll see how I can jump from the address bar to my bookmarks bar. So VOJ is a great command to know, VOJ or VO jump, and it will also do the interaction as well. So VOJ.
In preference panes, scroll area, 33 items, general button.
Okay, and what we're looking for is Siri, and this is another one where I actually need to type SIR. Okay.
Desktop and screensaver button.
Okay, it was behaving beautifully for me this morning when I was going through stuff. Now it is being wonky. So I'm going to do a VO Shift D.
Desktop.
Go back to my preferences with Command Tab.
System preferences.
And I could do SI. Nope. All right, well, let's use the item chooser that I was talking about. So if we do VOI.
Item chooser menu 49
and I type
items.
in SIR.
One item Siri button.
And I press Enter.
Siri button.
And that only focuses me on the item. So then if I do VO space.
Loading Siri window. Show all menu button.
Okay.
Search text feed.
And for some reason we're in the toolbar. So notice that we can't go any further.
Search text.
And by the way, when you're in the toolbar, you will hear that search at the right, kind of in your right ear. But that's why the positional thing is kind of helpful, but kind of not. So I'm going to uninteract.
Out of toolbar.
And then VO right.
Siri. Pref pane splash image. Siri. Enable Ask Siri checked checkbox.
Enable Ask Siri. And this is the first thing you need to enable before you can go change any other preferences.
Siri helps you get things done. Listen for Hey Siri on headphones unchecked checkbox.
Okay, mine says listen for Hey Siri on headphones. If your Mac is a 2018 or newer, it has this T2 security chip, you'll be able to have it listen for Hey Siri anywhere. But mine is just limited to headphones since I have an older Mac. So
keyboard shortcut, hold Command space, pop-up button.
Okay, I recommend changing it to something other than Command space. Why? Because Command space is for Spotlight. And you can hold Command space, but if your finger, accidentally slips, as mine does occasionally, it might kind of either cut off your request or whatever. So I like to change it, or you might accidentally get Spotlight. So I'll go into this menu with the space bar.
Menu 5 items check mark. Hold Command space. Hold Option space. Press FN function space.
I like press FN or function space. So that's what I'm going to set mine to. I'll press Enter.
Closing menu. Language. English United States. Language. Pop-up button.
You basically choose the language that you speak to it.
Voice variety. British. Pop-up button.
Oh. Okay, yesterday I'd set mine to American, even though I prefer the British, but maybe all right.
Menu 6 items check mark. British, Australian,
but let's say
American.
you want the American.
Hi,
so you
I'm Siri. Choose the voice you'd like me to use.
I don't happen to
Siri
like
Voice,
that one.
Table,
so
Voice 2, selected.
Then if we just down
Voice
arrow.
3.
I'm Siri.
Voice
Hi,
4.
I'm Siri. Choose the voice you'd like me to use.
And there we go. You can select your Siri voice. If we VO right.
Voice feedback on selected radio button.
You can still read the feedback with VoiceOver, but if the feedback is on, it will actually speak it.
Siri history. Delete Siri in dictation history button. Show Siri in menu bar checked checkbox.
All right.
Siri
so you
suggestions
can
and
show Siri
privacy
in the
button.
menu bar.
Help button.
All right. So being in the menu bar, then there's a couple of ways to access Siri. If we go to the menu extras with VOMM.
Menu extras. Zoom us. Dropbox text and do not battery. Wi-Fi search. Controls Siri.
And then I
menu
press
extra.
VO space. Donna was asking about this. What's the weather today?
It's currently partly cloudy and 88 degrees. Expect thunderstorms, then cloudy skies starting tonight. Temperatures are heading down from 88 degrees to
System
Okay. Another, what I like to do
preferences.
if I'm going to use Siri is probably the most useful thing is for opening apps. So I might actually tell her to open text edit. Open text edit.
Text edit. Open.
Open Safari.
Text edit. Open.
Open VoiceOver utility.
VoiceOver utility.
Or maybe you want her to open a specific category in system preferences. Maybe she could do that, or you could tell her to do things like turn your Wi-Fi, your Bluetooth off. You could also tell her to play a podcast, play a song. I tried to get her to play the AppleVis podcast. So play the AppleVis podcast.
Here's the AppleVis podcast.
Podcasts. Busy.
All right.
Podcasts.
Wow, she
Window.
actually thought it did
Sidebar
that. So,
table. Selected. Listen now. Voice. Download.
all right.
Dimmed button.
So there we go. That's just some. You can use Siri to send messages. David, I would recommend, and I put that in the syllabus, if you're interested in Siri, having a look at David Woodbridge's podcast.
Podcasts.
Okay.
Busy.
And
Podcasts. Ready.
let's see.
Safari.
It is
Start page. Window. Toolbar.
All right. So let's just quickly go into dictation. I'm going to get back into my system preferences.
VoiceOver utility. Text edit. System preference. System pref.
And now let's try Command L.
Show all preferences.
There we go.
Siri,
That
window,
did the trick.
Toolbar.
All right. So now I'm just going to do VOJ.
In preference panes. Scroll area. 33 items. General button.
And now
System
let's
has
go
new
to keyboards. If I press K, it was working this morning. Okay, not nice.
Desktop and
So I'll just, this time I'm going to do VOF.
enter search text.
For
Previous
keys.
search.
So I'm just going to type in KEY.
Keyboard button.
And now I'll VO space.
Loading keyboard. Window. Toolbar.
All right. And then we can
Keyboard.
go to
Keyboard. Text. Tab.
dictation.
Short inputs or dictation. Tab. 5.
VO space.
Selected. Use dictation wherever you can type text. To start dictating, use the shortcut or select Start Dictation from the Edit menu. Dictation. On. Radio button. 1 of 2.
And if I turn it on with VO space.
In Dialog, About Dictation and Privacy button. When you dictate text, what you say is sent to Apple to be converted to text. To help your Mac recognize what you're saying, other information is sent as well, such as the
All
need to
right,
help
yada,
your Mac
yada,
recognize
yada.
what you're saying.
Basically, Apple will
Saying.
take all your credit card info and publish it now.
About dictate, cancel, enable
So
dictation
we'll
button.
enable with VO space.
On selected, radio button, off, rate Sennheiser SC60 for link, menu button.
You can choose the headset that you are going to use. So again, this is a menu. Menu, pop-up menu, it's the same thing.
Language, English United States. Language, pop-up button.
Okay, that says pop-up button. But essentially, yeah, they're the same thing.
Shortcut, press Control key twice. Shortcut, pop-up button.
I don't like that one. So I'm going to press space or VO space.
Menu 7, press FN function, key twice.
And that's what I'll use.
Closing menu. About dictation at keyboard battery level.
All right.
Image.
And we can also turn on voice control. But the difference between dictation and voice control is really meant you can control, basically tell your Mac to click this or move right or move left, or you can give more extensive commands, bold that, italicize. It's really meant for people who have difficulties using their hands or motor skills. It's not, you can do some things with VoiceOver, but if you want to get to voice control and learn about those commands, you will do a Command L to first get back to your main categories.
Keyboard battery image.
And we will just
Safari.
do this.
VoiceOver utility. System pref. Safari.
No,
System
go
pref.
back.
Show all preferences. Keyboard. Window.
Sometimes in system preferences, the key is focusing away and then moving back. So you can actually do what you want to do. So then if we press
Back
tab,
button. Show all. Search tech. Leaving toolbar. Apple ID. Family. Entering preference pane. Scroll area. General.
and then if I do A, nope.
Desktop and screensaver
Wow.
button. Quick nav on. Quick nav
You're
off.
really not wanting to cooperate today.
Dock
Okay.
and mission Siri spotlight language notification internet wallet and touch users accessibility screen accessibility button.
All right. VO space.
Loading window. Universal
Okay.
accessibility. Your Mac can show accessibility status in menu bar unchecked checkbox.
Oh, I bypassed the table. Okay, so you can have the accessibility status show in your menu bar.
Your
what
Mac
it
can
means
because
for you
accessibility
extras.
features adapt your universal access pref image accessibility features table overview.
All right. And
VoiceOver
so
Zoom
then
display
I recommend turning off the reduce motion in display.
spoken content descriptions.
Descriptions, if you want to be able to get the descriptions in iTunes and other things where it actually describes the movies or TV shows, I would recommend coming into descriptions.
Audio RTT captions voice control.
And then voice control.
Voice control allows you to edit text and interact with your computer by enable voice control unchecked language English in microphone Sennheiser overlay none overlay pop-up
overlay can actually put numbers or different things on the screen, so you could tell it click number 5 or whatever.
show hands checked check play sound when command is commands button.
Okay, and if you go into commands, there's a table there you can search. So if you type VoiceOver, you'll find a few things you can do with VoiceOver, but I don't really know. I don't use voice control. I don't recommend using it unless you need to for whatever reason. Okay.
September 21st date 06 p.m.
And then I know I did mention
show all
that
preferences
you can
accessibility window
okay, and
toolbar.
that time it worked. So you can configure VoiceOver to start at login. So let's just do that real quick.
System preference image
with
in
VOJ.
preference pane desktop and screensaver button.
And I'm just going to do VO
Enter
find
search
for
text.
users, USERS,
Users and groups button.
VO space.
Loading users and groups window toolbar. Users and
this
users
time,
groups and login options list one item selected. Chanel M. Allen.
Okay, what we need to do is actually get to where it says login options.
Login
so I'm
options,
down
group,
pressing
6
down
of 6.
arrow. And then what we do is VO right.
Automatic login off. Display login window at list of name and password. Show the show input. Show pass. Show fat icon. Accessibility options dimmed button.
It's dimmed because we need to unlock it. But basically,
help button. Click the log to make change. Help button. In dialog,
right.
enter password. Secure edit text.
Oh, it's
System
asking
preferences
for my
is
password. Okay. Oh, I'm entering the wrong. Well, it doesn't matter which password I is.
help button. Click
All
the
right,
click
so
the
then if we
dim
go back
delete
to the
use add user
table-
join network account serve accessibility options button.
VO space
In
on
dialog table
accessibility.
no selection.
And then
These
you can down arrow.
VoiceOver checked checkbox.
And you have VoiceOver. And sometimes Herbie and I have encountered on our computers after an update, VoiceOver may not come up at login. So we will come in here, uncheck the box, and recheck it. So it
Zoom
says
VoiceOver unchecked.
unchecked. So if I recheck it, and there we go, that usually fixes
Apply
the
button.
problem. And then you go to apply.
Accessibility options button.
And there you go. And if there's time in class, we will do more of,
so far
we
text
can
edit.
try
Finder.
to adjust
Zoom
a
us.
few more things, or you can
Zoom
ask
us.
me about some of that. But now,
You are sharing mute all
let's
checked. Allow participant.
allow for
Now
your
in mute all
questions.
current.
So if anyone has a question, let me know. After all that, now I know you're waiting for your ice cream, but okay. Go ahead. Who is that? Did I hear Doc or Cliff, or who did I hear?
Daryl.
Daryl. All right, go ahead, Daryl.
Well, what you just did there at the very end, because if you said if VoiceOver doesn't come on when you're starting up your system,
Yep.
then you go in there. But how do you do that as a blind person? Because
So-
VoiceOver is not going to guide you to
Well,
that.
okay, so you can always turn VoiceOver on with Command F5. And then, so this is if you have to log into your computer. If you enter a username and password before you get to your desktop, this is what I'm talking about. So If
Okay.
for some reason VoiceOver doesn't turn on, you would press Command F5 to turn it on, and then you would know in future, okay, oh, it didn't come on, I had to turn it on. So you would know that you needed to go there and fix that.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Good question. Thank you. Who else?
It's a doc.
Doc, yes, go ahead.
When you mention in Commander using both Option keys,
Mm-hmm.
when I tried that, but it gave the impression because it popped up that little statement warning.
Yep.
That basically just means that you can use either
Right.
Option key to do the
Right.
thing. Because at first I got this crazy notion. I was trying to figure out how would I be able. My hands are big enough that I could reach them, but I kept trying to figure out how would anybody else reach both Option keys at the same time.
Yeah, no, it just means you can use either or. But yeah, it was warning you probably about command conflicts or if some command, I don't know, whatever. But I have had no problem with that. So that's a good point, though. No, you don't need to press both Option keys.
Elvia,
Yes,
well, I don't have a question, but I could say my head is spinning. It
I
was just like,
know. I'm
whoa,
sorry.
I felt so overwhelmed. I don't know if I'm the only one or
I'm
not, but
sure. I know. It's so hard to figure out exactly, to cover what we need to cover. Next week or after Mac and Talk, we'll be doing Finder. So, yeah.
This is
And-
Daryl with another comment.
Sure.
Don't feel alone being overwhelmed because I am too. But I think I would say a lot of what she's going through are options that you may not even ever have to deal with. I think it's just like they're there if you really need to change them. But I just use everything on the default. At least that's the way I kind of feel is I know it's there if I need to use it, but I'm not going to worry too much about it at this point.
Right.
Is that fair? Is that fair, Chanel, to say?
It is. There are some things, like maybe like turning the hints off or being able to choose, which voiceover voices that you have or whatever. But yeah, that's a good assessment. Just knowing that you can customize voiceover, I think, is important. And knowing that if you want to increase your efficiency, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is going to be recorded, and I would encourage you to listen to it afterwards. I mean, that's what I do. I listen to it, pause it, the steps that she's doing now, try and see if you can replicate it, pause it, listen to the next thing, pause it, and just go at your pace. I mean, I would definitely don't go with the expectation that everything she's going through right now, it's supposed to stick in your head.
No,
And
don't
don't go with that intention.
No. I don't expect, you have to, and hopefully you'll be able to come back to these recordings, maybe sometime in the future. Oh, I think we talked about this. Oh, what did this recording have to say, or what did we do, or whatever. So hopefully, yeah, that's a good point.
Elvia.
Yes, Elvia.
Yes, I am doing what he stated. I do listen to your audios. As a matter of fact, for any of you guys in the group who use a Braille display like myself, what I've been doing is I actually copy and paste all the questions, the focus questions, on a Word document, and I title it. And then what I do is I listen to the audio, turn on my Mac, and I just start, because I have my PC and my Mac side by side, which is good.
I do
And so
save
what I
them
do-
as, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, what I do then is as I'm doing it, would you suppose, and then you ask a question, and I answer the question so I know press this and that, that's what this does. And I save it. And then when I'm done with that, I can pop it into my Braille display and I can refer to it quicker than try to go through the whole audio file without knowing where is it on the audio, but I know where it's at in the documents
That's
that I just
awesome.
created. So I thought
I'd
that
be
would
happy
help
to
anybody
include
who-
the Word attachments that because I basically copy and paste it from a Word file into the email because I thought,
Oh.
maybe, so I'd be happy to send you those.
Okay, sounds great.
They're
Thank you.
usually RTF or doc, and well, in order to convert it to Braille, because I don't have a Braille display that does automatic translation. Then I have to save it to docs. So I can send you the docs if you'd like.
That's great.
I'll put
Chanel,
that in the email for everyone. Yeah.
do you, I know that last week you mentioned you were going to send us an email, and
Oh,
my
that's
apologies if you did, or I didn't see
okay.
it.
No, I will do that. I will send that. Yeah. I know I forgot. So I will do that along with, I'll send that tonight with the focus questions.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Elvia, I didn't hear, what did you say that you were going to send us?
An email with some links that I've compiled, links to sources for Mac keyboard commands and the VoiceOver user guide, things like that.
Ah, thank you. That would be great. Thank you.
Yep.
This is Michelle.
Yeah. Hi, Michelle.
Hi. This doesn't matter, but I was able to update my Mac to Big Sur last
good.
before
Okay.
when we first connected. So that
Oh,
is what
good.
I'm working from now. So
Awesome. Okay. Perfect.
is Monterey what's coming out now?
It is. I don't know when it will come out, and I have not tested the beta for that, so that's why I didn't make it as a recommendation for this class, because I
Yeah.
didn't know when it would be coming out.
I'm gonna have to buy a new Mac before I can get that one. So
Well, the Macs, yeah, and
Elvia?
Herbie, yeah, go ahead, Elvia.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Speaking of updates, remember in the last class you said, I recommend, you do the automatic updates and leave it checked, because I had it unchecked. I didn't know. That's why I didn't know about updates.
Okay.
But a friend of mine was saying that sometimes it's not the best idea to put it on automatic check download, because if it's something that's not accessible, that it messes something up, then you don't have to download it right away if you have it unchecked. But if you have it checked, then
Right.
pretty much you're screwed until it gets resolved, another update or something. Is that
Well,
true?
I have found with the Mac that there are less accessibility problems than there are with iOS updates. Even for iOS, I leave automatic updates on, but I feel personally like there's less reason to worry about that on the Mac. And some of my other Mac experts here, Herbie,
This is
Cliff,
Herbie.
Doc, yeah, go ahead.
I think what your friend may be
Shri.
referring to is automatic app updates. That is totally different than system updates. System updates you shouldn't have to worry about, because those are, that they are major security updates and stuff. App updates, I mean, I don't know how big of a problem it is on the Mac with an app no longer becoming accessible with an update the way it has been on iOS. And that is only going to be an issue for App Store apps. Otherwise, your external programs that you download, they're going to prompt you to update, and you can tell them no. And usually there's stuff in the preferences where you can adjust it per app. But system updates, that's not an issue. The only time it can be an issue if it wants to do an update like in the middle of the night and you're actually doing something and it's going to restart, but you don't need to worry about accessibility for system updates.
Well, some people, though, Herbie, like with iOS, worry about accessibility update, particularly if they're using Braille displays or the low
Right.
vision features, but that's less of a worry on the Mac because VoiceOver
Yeah.
changes less from OS to OS than it does, let's say, in iOS.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, iOS, that's a little bit of a different thing altogether.
Yeah,
but
Doc?
I was strictly talking about the Mac.
Right. Okay. But I was just,
No.
okay. Go ahead.
When we were in that software update section, just past Big Sur, because it's been excited about wanting to get me to update to Big Sur. There was another place where it says other updates.
This is Herbie.
Yeah, Herbie, go ahead.
Yeah, Catalina has 2 updates. I don't remember what the other one is. Yours is going to look a little different. But
I'll
yeah,
go
I
take a
did
peek
see
at it
2
later.
updates on my Catalina. So one of them was a Safari one, and I forget what. I think the other one is just like a security patch or something. But yeah, you will see 2 updates on Catalina.
This is Shri.
Yeah, Shri, go ahead.
So you mentioned something about on your Mac, since you had an older one, that the sound was going through the headphones.
Yeah, for the Hey Siri.
So does that mean whenever you ask, all the responses are going to be only through your headphones?
No, so that's only for Hey Siri, like if you want to not have to press a button. So you know how you can tell your iPhone, hey, no, hey Siri, what's the you can do that on certain Macs. Well, you can't like my Mac because it's older as long as it's plugged into headphones. No, I can ask Siri, I can do a keyboard command or go to menu extras to ask Siri something regardless of whether the headphones are plugged in. But if I want to do Hey Siri, like you can on the HomePod or whatever, then I would have to have headphones plugged in on my particular Mac because it doesn't have the latest, T2 chip, whatever.
I see.
Yep.
Thank you.
Elvia?
Yeah, Elvia.
So to get the Hey Siri to work on, because I have the M1 chip computer with the Big Sur.
Okay.
And so if I get it to say, Hey Siri, and I have another IO device that also has the Hey Siri feature, is it going to supersede? Is it going to override the iOS version if I'm talking to my computer? How does that work?
Hopefully
This
it
is
will.
Herbie.
Go ahead, Herbie.
So one of the disadvantages with Apple is that there's no way to distinguish between your devices. So if you have it on, like, say, your iPhone and your HomePod, for instance, I think they've tried to do some algorithm things to maybe guess which one you're talking to, but there's no true way of distinguishing between the two. So you're kind of going to be stuck with whichever one decides to respond. I don't know if you really would need to use Hey Siri on the Mac unless you're gonna make use of Siri a lot, because so that's just something to think about. Also, I did have a problem with this the other day when I was trying it out, and I believe this is a problem on iOS now too, where VoiceOver will mute when you try to go set up Hey Siri. I've not had a chance to play with it yet to see if I can duplicate what I experienced the other day, so you may have some problems setting up Hey Siri on your device as well, but there is no way to distinguish between your Mac Siri, your phone Siri, your HomePod, whatever.
And I forgot, another thing you can do is tell Siri to open the file. If you have a file name, but you have to actually say, open the file, or, it's kind of specific. Or I tried to tell Siri, find the focus questions file, and it said, oh, there are 42 results, probably because of focus questions from all my different Mac classes. So Siri is. I don't find Siri useful on iOS, so I find less reason to find her useful on the Mac. But if any of you have different experiences, and I know Herbie has used her even more than I have, then feel free to let us know. But
This is Cliff.
yeah, Cliff.
I know for your phone, if you turn it over, it won't respond when you say, hey. I can't say it because there's a HomePod in here.
Okay.
And my phone is actually right here too, but it's face down. But yeah, if your phone is face down, it won't respond to the hey.
Okay.
Her
it's good
prompt.
to know. Very good to know.
So,
Oh,
Doc,
yeah.
when you say, when you speak of using hey with a file, are you speaking of using the whole file name, including extension?
No.
Just
Yeah, and I don't say hey with mine. I just say I'll generally use the command, like FN space or whatever, and then, the only time you need to use hey is if you're trying to call her and you're not using the keyboard command, or going to menu extras. But
This is Shri.
yeah, Shri, go ahead.
I just want to respond to Cliff. You can set it up. So the setting and accessibility under Siri, there's a checkbox to turn it on if the phone is facing face down.
Oh.
To have a Siri work.
This is Cliff. I guess mine was on by default because I've never done that, and I absolutely despise Siri on my Mac. Now I'll use her on my phone and my HomePod religiously, but on the Mac, it's just like Alex. I will not ever use Alex on any of my iOS devices. I think it's designed for the Mac, and Samantha's device designed for the phone. That's just my personal preference, but you know.
Yeah.
This is Herbie.
Yeah, Herbie, go ahead.
So the reason why I have the best, I actually, ironically, I don't use it much, but I have the best experience with Siri on the Mac. But I think it's because I have a studio microphone plugged in, and so that makes a lot less room for translation errors, and so you don't always have that experience on the phone, or you can be farther away in the HomePod, but. That being said, I use her mainly more for like making phone calls or whatever. I find that's the simplest way rather than having to go through contacts. So I use her primarily for that. Sometimes if I'm unsure, I'll ask her if like the status of VoiceOver. I've had a couple of weird VoiceOver meeting issues, so I'll ask her to turn on VoiceOver and she'll tell me if it's already on or not, and that can be very
that's good.
Useful information. So I use her for things like that.
Good, then you're giving everybody the answer to my focus question for what tasks could Siri be useful, because I forgot. So
you should be able to use her through Apple Music. I've not actually tried that fully on the Mac or Spotify. You can use her, of course, like I said, to open files. But like I said, the type of microphone that you have is going to affect your experience. So if you have like Chanel's microphone is going to do much better that she's using compared to like if you're going to use your internal microphone. So those are things to think about if you're going to use Siri on your Mac and
same with
quality
dictation.
Yeah, totally.
With dictation, you need to. That's why I don't like. You have to make sure you're using a mic. You have to speak clearly, kind of have thought out what you're going to say. That's why I don't really care for dictation too much. But anyway.
This is Sri.
Yeah, Sri.
So Chanel, you mentioned about using Siri to open up the folders. So if there's like 5 folders, can you still tell Siri to open the 4th folder if they all had the same name? Or
I don't know if I've used it to open folder. I talked about files. Yeah, I did. So
maybe even with files, if they all have the same name, can you tell to open the 4th file?
I don't know. I've never. Because what she does is she'll show things in a snippet, and then you have to interact with that snippet, and then you choose. So it's not. If I should play around with that though. Open the lesson 2 focus questions in my Mac training folder. I should try that. Let's see. Open the lesson 2 focus questions file in my Mac training folder. Oh, and she's saying, here's what I found. Sorry, I didn't share, but
so it's displaying on the screen?
Yeah, so I have to interact with the notification, and then I have to interact with the conversation, and then there's a finder search snippet, say that 3 times, and so I have to interact with that. So it's not okay, it said show all 37 results. Well, there's not, it's sometimes
and
it's
just
how
so you know we're approaching 8:30.
I know. Sometimes it's how, you phrase things with her, but I've never found it to be that useful. I wish it was useful like that on the Mac, but I've never really gotten her to work that well with certain things like that. So.
This Doc again. Siri, when you were speaking of files with the same name, so you're speaking specifically then how you could have a file in several different folders with the same name. Right.
This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Well, I have given everyone quite a bit. Were there any other questions, or is everyone ready to call this a night and go fantasize about that ice cream Doc's making?
No, it's Herbie making the chicken and Doc making the ice cream.
Right. Yep. So chicken and ice
we need
cream.
somebody.
I have a steak, so.
Need somebody to do the vegetable.
We had steak last night, so.
And we had veggies in the air fryer. We had cauliflower and broccoli in the air fryer. So.
Yum.
Getting ready to do some
I think I need to come. I need to take a trip to Houston.
Oops, and I guess this is getting on the recording. Let's
No.
stop the recording.
Okay.
I just need to take a trip